There are corners of the internet that feel like a different reality, governed by their own rules, their own language, and their own celebrities. One of the most bizarre and fast growing is the world of looksmaxing. It's a subculture where young men are on a relentless quest to maximize their physical attractiveness. Believe it's the key to unlock wealth, status, and success with women. The methods range from the tame, like skincare and hitting the gym, to the extreme steroid abuse, cosmetic surgery, and even a debunked practice called bone smashing, which involves literally hitting your face with objects to stimulate bone growth. And at the center of this world, resigning as its most prominent and controversial king, is 20-year-old influencer from New Jersey named Brandon Peters, better known to his hundreds of thousands of followers as Clavicular. He built an empire by broadcasting his own body as a living experiment, openly advocating for use of methamphetamine to stay lean, and injecting himself with unapproved substances, all while streaming to a captivated audience. He was a self-described lab rat of the looksmaxing movement, and his chaotic, often disturbing live streams earned him over $100,000 a month. But one of those broadcasts would spiral far beyond the usual shock value. It started as just another stream, but would end with a horrifying allegations, a major civil lawsuit, and a minute-by-minute breakdown that would expose the dark reality simmering just beneath the surface of influencer culture. This live stream started with chaos, but it ended with a lawsuit alleging a forced drug injection. So, how did a broadcaster fan spiral into a legal nightmare that exposed the dark truths of the looks maxing world? To understand what happened, you first have to understand the world Clavicular created. The term looks maxing was born in the corners of incel message boards, forums for involuntary celibate men who believed their romantic failures were a result of their physical appearance. The core belief known as the black pill is a deeply pessimistic ideology that a man's worth and sexual success are dedicated almost entirely by genetics and physical traits. From these forms, the idea of ascending was born, the process of overcoming your genetic shortcomings through any means necessary. The philosophy leaked into the mainstream through platforms like TikTok and Kick, where it was repackaged as extreme self-improvement. Brandon Peters, or Clavicular, became its ultimate evangelist. His screen name itself is a reference to the community's obsession with wide collarbones. Starting at just 14 years old, Peter claims he spent hours a day on forums, ordering testosterone and fat dissolvers online. By 2025, at the age of 20, he had become a star. His content was a train wreck you couldn't look away from. He was brash, unapologetic, and his life was a constant stream of controversy. He was filmed in a nightclub with figures like Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes chanting along to an anti Semitic song. He was arrested on battery charges in March of 2026 for allegedly provoking a fight between two women and then posting the footage online. He was investigated by Florida Fish and Wildlife and later charged with unlawfully discharging a firearm for live streaming himself shooting a dead alligator. And in April of 2026, he was hospitalized after a medical emergency on a live stream, which was widely suspected to be an overdose. To his followers, he was a hero figure, a Chad, in the community's lingo, brave enough to live by the hard truths of the black pill. To critics, he was a dangerous figure, monetizing the body dysphoria and insecurities of young men. He wasn't just an influencer. He was a leader of a movement selling a $50 a month course called the Clavicular System that taught his followers how to ascend, including instructions on how to inject peptides. This strange blend of self-help guru and online menace created a perfect storm, one that was about to break over another aspiring influencer. In May of 2025, a 16-year-old influencer named Alexandria Mendoza, who posts online as Aloria Ziva, was allegedly paid $1,000 by Peters to collaborate on videos. According to the lawsuit, she would later file Peters' promise to make her the female face for Looksmaxxing. Coming from a troubled background, Mendoza saw this as a chance to build a career and support herself. The lawsuit alleges a series of disturbing encounters. It claims that Peters brought Mendoza, then a minor, to his parents' home where she was served excessive amounts of alcohol until she was intoxicated. The complaint then alleges that Peters had non consensual sexual encounters with her while she was unable to give consent. But the incident that would bring everything into public eye occurred months later. In November of 2025, during a live stream from Miami, Mendoza claims Peters invited her to his place for a streaming session. During this broadcast on the platform Kick, Peters allegedly told Mendoza he was going to help her with her looksmaxing journey by injecting her face with a substance to melt fat on her cheeks. According to the legal filings, Peters presented himself as if he had medical authority, even referring to himself as Dr. Clav. He then allegedly injected her cheeks with a substance called Aqualix. It's a fat dissolving compound that is not approved by the FDA for use in the United States. While it's used in Europe, its use in the US is considered an unapproved medical practice, and the FDA has issued warnings about the potential dangers of such unregulated injections, which include infection, scarring, and permanent disfigurement. The lawsuit claims this injection was done without her proper consent on a live broadcast by someone with no medical license. To make a horrifying situation even worse, the complaint alleges that Peters suggested the injection might also contain methamphetamines. Mendoza's court filing states the injection perforated her right cheek and that she appeared visibly disoriented on the stream. The moment was broadcast to the world to see, and it would become the centerpiece of a legal battle that would rock the online world. In late April of 2026, the story exploded. Mendoza, now 18, fought a civil lawsuit in Miami-Dade County against Brandon Peters. The complaint listed multiple counts, including battery, fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and the unauthorized use of her name and likeness. She is seeking damages of at least $50,000. The lawsuit argues that Peters' injection of an unapproved drug constituted battery under Florida law, causing both physical and psychological injuries. The fraud allegation stems from the claim that Peters lured Mendoza with false promises of career help, only to exploit her for his own financial gain, and later orchestrated a campaign to discredit her, which she says cost her sponsorship and her livelihood. The internet erupted. News of the lawsuit was covered by major outlets, and clips from the alleged live stream circulated wildly. The shocking details, the injection, the unapproved substance, the methamphetamine allegation, and the fact that Mendoza was a minor during their initial encounters, horrified viewers. For many, this was the moment the curtain was fully pulled back on the toxic realities of the looksmaxing world. The community Peters had built, which preached physical perfection as the ultimate virtue, was now linked to allegations of abuse, exploitation, and illegal conduct. Peters' attorney swiftly denied all the allegations, releasing a statement saying these are allegations only and remain unproven. Mr. Peters denies the claims and disputes the characterization of events and intends to vigorously defend himself. On social media, Peters himself seemed to frame the lawsuit as an attack from women trying to screw him over and take his money. Despite the denials, the damage was immediate. In the wake of the controversy and his earlier hospitalization, YouTube shut down 2 of Peters' channels for severe or repeated violations of their community guidelines. The details of this case are shocking, and they raise serious questions about accountability on these platforms. When does extreme content cross the line into dangerous behavior? And what responsibility do streaming sites have to intervene before it leads to real-world harm? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The lawsuit against Brandon Peters is still ongoing, and as of now, only civil charges have been filed. Legal analysts have noticed that Because Mendoza did not initially file a police report, the case is proceeding through the civil court system. However, the existence of the live stream footage could make it a compelling case for prosecutors to review. This lawsuit is just the latest in a string of legal troubles for Peters. He was already facing misdemeanor battery charges in Florida from the incident where he allegedly instigated a fight between two women and a charge for unlawfully discharging a firearm in connection with the alligator shooting incident. The man who built a career on pushing boundaries now finds himself surrounded by legal and social walls closing in. The story of Clavicular is bigger than just one influencer's downfall. It's a cautionary tale about the dark side of an online fame and the unregulated, often dangerous subcultures that fester on the internet. The looksmaxing movement preys on the very real insecurities of young men, promising a simple physical solution to complex emotional and social problems. It promotes a worldview where value is measured by jawlines and hunter eyes, and where empathy is a weakness. Experts in child psychiatry have expressed alarm, noting a spike in body dysphoria and other mental health issues among adolescent boys, which they directly link to trends like looksmaxing. The promise of ascending to become a giga chad is a powerful fantasy, but the reality is often a lonely and destructive obsession. What started on a obscure incel forums is now a mainstream force, shaping the self-perception of a generation of young men, often with devastating consequences. The story of Clavicular and the live stream that led to a major lawsuit is a stark illustration of where extreme internet culture can lead. It began with an influencer chasing clout and a follower chasing a dream. It descended into a live stream nightmare involving alleged abuse and unapproved injection, all broadcast for entertainment. Now, it will be up to the courts to sort through the allegations and decide what truly happened behind the camera. But for the rest of the internet, this case serves as a critical warning. It exposes the predatory dynamics that can hide within influencer fan relationships and the real world harm that can result when online extremism goes unchecked. The biggest question left is not just about the fate of the one influencer, but about the culture that created him. What happens when the relentless pursuit of the perfect image leads to a reality that is ugly, dangerous, and deeply broken?